Testing. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Test. Cool. All right, we'll start in a bit, in a few minutes. This is new to me, so there's gonna be a lot of technical issues on the way. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me on this Sunday. I literally just woke up 10 minutes ago, and I sometimes question myself as to why I do this so damn early. But this being my final stream and my first one, I thought I'd go out with the bang. Yes, I will be leaving this week. This is my final week. And by final week, I'm talking about final days. I'll be going on vacation for 2 months. My Twitter, it won't be active. I won't be posting on it anymore. I won't be using it anymore. It's going to be there just like my YouTube channel will be there. Maybe, a couple of months in or however long I surprise you guys with a video, but don't count on it. It's time to gracefully walk away, knowing that these 9 years that I've been in this space, it's been real. It's been fun. The passion for myself isn't there any longer. Sometimes I dread like opening charts or Discord and just going through. My time has been allocated to other stuff, so it's not that I don't want to talk to you guys. It's more of I'm just so busy I don't have time to do it. But also, Trump has completely fucked up this market, and it. I knew it was gonna happen. The stock market looks really good, but not. What is happening? One sec. Let me just tweet that I'm live because nothing seems to be working on my end. All right. So before I get into retirement speech, before I get into live trading a little bit and taking a look at charts that you guys want, I will be saying no to a lot of them. Like for example, I'm not going to chart that fucking awful coin Ski. That coin's going to go to 0. I have it up so I can just flex it to all the fucking people, but let's start with an AMA. What do you guys want to know? What do you guys want to ask? For those that aren't in my server, what do you guys want to know moving forward, or some things that you've always wanted to ask any YouTuber or crypto influencer or whatever it is? And I'll try to be. I mean, I'm not going to try to be honest. I'm going to be honest with you guys and direct as I always am. But um, I'm going to reach out in order and answer as much questions as I can. So, which one is more important, EMA or MA? Neither. I don't really use it. The EMA, I would say, is the one that people use the most, but I use neither. All my charts have no indicators whatsoever. I will only use RSI only when I'm trying to find divergences, but I don't use either one of them. But if you are going to use it on the 4-hour and the daily. Do you have a scalping strategy? Yes, I do. There's a video on my channel in the education that goes over it. How can one get into the server? You cannot. The server has been closed since February of last year, and no one will be getting in, and I will not be active anymore. So there's no point of letting anyone else in. What happened with Kaizen? There's a lot of things that happened there. Brian's a scammer. It's just a terrible place to be. There's no point of, like my whole tenure there, even behind the scenes, I was talking shit about Brian. I knew joining it that what I was going to do, and eventually I did it. And that was to say my thoughts, and I knew exactly what was going to happen because that guy has been doing it for a long time. But in the end, I have nothing against the people there. I just don't work with scammers and people that are grifting, so I will call them out whenever I see them. As far as ETH is concerned, what levels would you realistically do you see realistically to sell high time frame, considering if we go to 1100 $1,100 region? I'll chart that and I'll go over it. Who did you learn from and how did you improve your charting? I'm self-taught. I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I used to work at JP Morgan as an investment banker, so I have the understanding of investing and trading, but I never had um, the tools to trade leverage. So during the 2019, 2020, or 2018, 2019 bear market, more of 2019, sat in a dark room for 6-7 hours a day, paper trading, understanding what it was to lose money when I actually deposited, sacrificed a lot of time, family, friends to get into the rhythm of trading crypto, and it was all self-taught. So I had a whole bunch of different strategies I tried out from start to finish, and then eventually, built my own, taught it, and it stuck, and I still use it ever since. But I can't really credit a single person because there were a lot of videos that I watched, a couple books that I read. I had one in real life professor in college who I would send charts to because I was, like I said, in finance and investment banking and technical analysis was one of my classes. Will you still be trading after you retire from the space? I will, not as actively as I was a few months ago. Um, so, just for context, the last like two or 3 months, I've done like 34 trades. I've done maybe like 2 in the last week and a half. Before that, like when I was actively trading, I was doing like maybe 20, 30 a month. So just not no time there. I will be trading. I'm just not going to be sharing anything. I've been trading silently in the past, few months. So I'll continue to do that here and there, but I'm not forcing myself. Besides Unity, what other Discord would you recommend? I wouldn't recommend any because I haven't really been in any. I'm not, I started with Unity back in like 2023, I think. Um, Caleb, is a great founder. He's very active. For someone that, for a server that doesn't really have, I mean, it was cheap for a long time. It still is cheap. You're not paying $200 to get market briefs by, someone who doesn't know how to trade every single day. The the quality that comes from there, whether it's scalping or swing trading, is, in my opinion, unmatched. But for the price, I do like Haven. And Chroma is good too, but again, for the price, Unity is the best. When are you coming back to the game? I will not be coming back to the game. Never say never, right? But I can guarantee you that in 2026, you will not be hearing or seeing from me. Maybe I come back when Trump is gone, but there's no point in trading or share. And I won't, like, if I come back, I'm not going to be active. I'm not going to be a content creator. I'll be shit posting like I always do on Twitter, but I'm not going to be putting out stuff. Um, yeah. Thank you, Coco. Happy holidays to everyone as well. Are there any specific tools, indicators that you think are undervalued when it comes to analysis? I don't use indicators, but the only thing that you have to know when it comes to trading is understanding support resistance, plotting those levels out from higher time frame and then going to a lower time frame, and understanding supply and demand, where a supply zone is, where a demand zone is, and liquidity with market structure. The most important thing, as a beginner going into the space, is learning support resistance. And then after that is understanding market structure, because then you would know when to, short, when to long, either with size or in general. And uh, the most important thing isn't, you know, anything that comes from the charts themselves. It's understanding your emotions and how they affect your trading. You can't be um, someone that is constantly relying on your emotions to trade. Like, you can't be super happy because you nailed the trade and then you get trigger fingers, and then you size up or whatever just because you won, right? Every trade you have to be emotionless. It doesn't matter the direction of the market. By being emotionless, you will evolve into having no bias. You don't want to be, always hoping or having faith because, you're underwater on your bag. 'Cause that's not how trading works. Trading works by understanding market structure, and you have to be a bear when the market structure is bearish, and you have to be a bull when the market structure is bullish. You have to trade both ways. You can't be, oh, this is just a correction, or, this is manipulation. There's no such thing as manipulation when it comes to assets. It's just a liquidity game, right? Price will go where there's liquidity. So don't be that person that complains when the trade goes against you. Be that person that understands why the trade went against you and what you can do to get better. And understanding that will elevate your game and your trading, skill so much more than what it is now. A lot of people are just trading based on hopium right now. The market's down, their bags are underwater, and they keep telling themselves, or influencers or Discord owners are like, oh, this is just a correction. This is just a correction, when some assets are literally down 70 to 80%. Cut your bags, have an invalidation level, and it's easier. Honestly, it's easier to make your money back than holding something to zero and hoping it comes back to your entry price. And that is the one thing that, again, ties in with your emotions. Don't be so attached to a coin or an asset or a stock or whatever. Be okay with taking a loss and understanding that you can make that back instead of just holding and, tying up your capital in a dead project, a dead coin, a dead chart, whatever it is. You made the money once, you can make it again. Just don't, this isn't something where you can sit and pray or whatever your, your belief is that everything will turn around immediately. And the other important thing is understand charts, and charts will always paint the picture. A lot of people put emphasis on fundamental analysis and news. The charts predict the news every single time. So, if we have positive news, and there's resistance with a heavy resistance, and we reject from it, and people are like, why do we reject from here, right? That we have bullish news or whatever, or bearish news or whatever. Well, the charts say that there is heavy resistance or supply zone or whatever, and that's why we rejected. There's never, and again, like, this is where people go and cry, oh, we rejected from here and price, dumped like 10%. That's manipulation. Again, trading is a liquidity game, and you have to treat it as such, right? Margot Robbie when? Shit, soon, hopefully. um, One sec. I'm reading. I am so far behind. What do you think of Sherlock's trading style? I don't really follow his trading style, but I think he's shit when it comes to him only trading low cap coins. I really don't like when people trade low cap coins. And with his following, like, he's a great trader. He's good at explaining stuff. But the fact that you have a large following with many different platforms and outlets, and you're chilling low cap stuff, I don't have respect for that. So your thoughts on prop firms and how you would do it if you're trading on prop firms. I I have always been a firm believer that prop firms are scams. Now, are they good and can you use them? 100%. And I know I'm ranting here, but we'll go into live charting after. This is just the AMA portion of it. All right. Um, Live trading, or sorry, live trading. Prop firms are good when you have low capital and you don't want to expose yourself in a chop environment, or you have a lot of capital and you want to just chill for a little bit and protect your capital in, other environments. So, like, breakout would be the best pick. Use Neil's code for breakout, get a discount. I'm shouting my brother out here, but prop firms in general have tough rules. Okay, if you have capital, in my opinion, and this is what I would do, is I would not be using them. I don't like rules. I like to use my capital as freely as I want with no max drawdowns, no daily drawdowns, or whatever. And if I can't do that, if I can't use my own capital to make money, then what am I doing in the first place, right? Now, prop firms don't really teach you anything until you really get into the past stage, right? Because the evaluation, step one, you're risky as fuck. You're trying to get to stage two. That's if you have bought a two-stage plan or whatever. You're trying to get there, and you're blowing out your risk management out the water and everything. Trying to get past, right? But you wouldn't do that on your own account, if the money wasn't real. So I think that it overall, again, for those that have a small amount or larger capital that want to just chill for a little bit and experiment something, they're great. But for those that, are trying to use prop firms to generate income in the long run, you're going to fail and lose more money trying to buy prop firms than actually making money in trading. Um, so for that reason, like, I'm not a big fan. I'd rather learn and lose my own money, journal, you know, come to the mental things of or the mental states of trading by actually, you know, committing myself through trial and error than trying to get lucky or blow my risk management out the waters by, going balls to the wall, getting funded. And then once you're funded, it's a different story, right? Because then you're treating it as it's real money. But, like 80%, 85% of the people don't pass the evaluation stage. So, any changes to your Bitcoin buying plans? Nope. I don't know if you're in my server, but told you, I think I posted it on one of my YouTube videos back when, don't know which one, but from 78K down to 50K, I'm buying at incremental levels, and on my own, I mean, I have a personal Bitcoin Bitcoin account that's recurring, buying $100 every single day, no matter the price, for about a year, year and a half. Same with ETH, buying $100 every single day, no matter the price, um, for a year, year and a half. And I don't plan to sell these for a couple years. So, but in terms of like Bitcoin long plan, nope, 78K down to, if we go down to the 40s, great. But 78K going down to 50, um, that has not changed. I have limits set and everything, just waiting for orders to hit. Hopefully they hit. Live chart, please explain how to trade using supply and demand model and order blocks. I have a video of that on my YouTube channel. It's in the education zone. It's a 2-hour video. You can watch that. It takes a long time, and I'm not going to be doing that from scratch. Back when you used to scalp, did you just use trend lines or did you use anything else? So back when I used to scalp and do like 3,000 trades every single week, I was using lower time frames, trend lines, order blocks, supply demand zones, support resistance, fibs, patterns, literally everything. I was using everything. You can't just trade based off trend lines. Trend lines are just diagonal support and resistances. So you have to use trend lines as a means of confluence. It's not just a way to trade. You have to see where support is. You have to, look at the order blocks, see if they line up with some fibs somehow. Patterns are effective on lower time frames, although, like I said, I've said before in many videos that lower time frame trading is riskier. The higher the time frame you go, the more reliable the data will be. But I use everything that I teach, everything that I put out in multiple videos. I use that when it comes to scalping. Scalping and swinging don't matter. The time frames do, and the amount of risk or margin does when you lower or increase the time frame. Will you put out some random trades on random days in X? Nope, I will not. I will not be using my Twitter account after Tuesday. What would be your recommendation to make the most money on the crypto market moving forward? See, that's where a lot of people's mindsets are skewed, right? They're trying to make a shit ton of movie fast or in a short amount of time, right? Instead of focusing on building your account or taking small wins and compounding. Your goal shouldn't be to make, oh, I'm going to make, $1 million in 2026. That's unrealistic, okay? Your goal is, how can I increase my portfolio month over month, right? Compound those small wins, and sometimes you might have a home run, right? You might get the bottom of Sol, let's say like at 116 a couple days ago, and you ride that shit up all the way to 150, 160. A lot of people are trying to increase their wealth, their portfolios in a short amount of time, and that leads to a lot of detrimental um, outcomes or irrational decisions on the shorter time frame. So don't be so quick to increase your portfolio or make a lot of money in a short amount of time. Figure out how you can increase your portfolio month over month and keep it green. Keep your losses small and your wins larger, right? Collect those, R's, your rewards, stack them, and move profits from your trading account into your bank. I can't stress that enough. A lot of people bag hold. Don't be attached. If something's up 20, 30%, I don't understand the reason as to why people should hold it for another 30%. At least take out your initial capital, be risk free, move the profits into your bank account, buy your mom something nice, or buy Bitcoin, right? Um, but the goal in the long run to make money is stack as much Bitcoin and ETH as you can. Have multiple trading accounts. You're not so confined into, oh, I have to buy the perfect price, or long or short the perfect price. You have a long-term trading account, your investment account. You have your scalping account. Either you have a challenge account or a degen account for yourself to run it up without any risk management. Obviously, everyone has one. Everyone should have one where you can degen more, and then the rest of the accounts are set at a strict guideline for yourself. And in my opinion, like, these are great prices to buy certain assets. I'm not gonna say go buy fucking every altcoin you can find, because not every altcoin is going to perform well in the coming months, but like, you're seeing cheap Bitcoin. Set up recurring buys. Use a portion of your paycheck to just buy Bitcoin every week or every 2 weeks or every whatever, however you set it up. And keep that in the long run. Bitcoin, I think, will make the most amount of money over a longer term than holding any dog shit asset. Do you use the scale in strategy in your trading? I have no idea what that is. Do you also trade stocks and futures? I do not. I used to when I was in investment banking, but slowly might transition back into it. The only stocks that I hold are in my 401k. I really don't trade stocks, but lost my touch on them. Most likely we'll get into it. Charts are the same as crypto, they just have gaps. Will your educational videos still be available to watch on YouTube? Yes. Will you come back if the Clinton's bitch died tomorrow? If you have to give one tip or teaching for the ones that will be keep trading in 2026, what would it be? Basically what I've said. Um, don't treat this market as, up only. You have to be emotionless. You have to have no bias. Understand market structure. Spend time learning market structure. Spend time learning liquidity levels and why price reacts at those levels, which we'll go over an example here. But don't be listening to. So, my biggest advice to anyone entering either the trading space or wanting to keep going: tune out all the noise. You guys are in servers, you guys are influenced by people, you guys join servers because of people, or you're seeing results on Twitter or social media that made you join something. But learn how to trade for yourself and utilize Discord or Twitter as a means of communications with like-minded individuals. Not for something to join and take calls and, you know, win some, lose some. You're always going to have in the back of your head, I took this person's call and won, and I sized up and I lost the next 2 or 3 trades. Therefore, this person's a bad trader, right? No, you are a bad risk management, um, choice maker, whatever you want to call it. Learn to trade for yourself. Utilize Discord and social media as a means to communicate with other people and get ideas or feedback from people. Don't look at it as a way of making money. In the long run, like Discords are great, but learning to trade for yourself and being emotionless and journaling is how you are going to make it in the long run, in my opinion. um, how to have faith as an atheist? I don't know, I've been an atheist all my life. Trade without stop loss, great way. I hate when people use soft stop losses or no stop loss. When you wait for a trendline retest to open a position, what classifies it as a retest? Like how much time does it pass to be successful, for example? We'll go over that example. D Brown, just ask me again when I'm live trading. What three things should a new trader focus on? I just mentioned it. Do you think Ondo has institutional value, or was it? I think it has. It had. It's a has been. Um, Lots of promises. Just like ETH. I value Ondo the same way I see ETH, but like ETH is much more superior and actually has plans to grow in the future. I think Chainlink is much more successful than Ondo and will be, but Ondo had its time. I think it's just another shitcoin at this point. Can you give an example of invalidation level and how you set up your stop loss? Yep, when we do live trading. What is your favorite setup that seems to work 80% of the time? Um, I like Quasimoto's, which is basically a reversal pattern based on market structure. We'll go over that as well. Bearish or bullish Quasimoto's? Better to cut your losses, is that what you mean? Yeah, I mean, if you're holding a coin, right, let's say you enter Sol at 280 because, Orange Dementia Dawn said Trump was going to be, or that the Trump coin was going to be, on the Solana network or whatever. You bought it at 280 and now it's at 125, right? Um, like, first of all, like, what was your invalidation level? You can't just buy something and just hold it to zero. You'd rather take a 10% loss than be down like 80% on a coin, right? So always have an invalidation level where you would cut the trade once the level is lost. But also, ask yourself, like, if you have if you had $10,000 and that coin is down $6,000, you're left with $4,000. Is it easy to make $4,000 back, cutting my losses and entering into a different asset? Or would it be easier holding that coin, hopefully getting back to break even, or if it goes lower, you lose more, right? I always see it as, okay, like I took a $6,000 loss, I'm going to sell. I see coins going up every single day, 10, 20%. I can rotate that 4,000 into something else and it goes up 20%. Well, shit, I just made, $800 and I'm down almost $1,000, or I'm up $1,000 more than I was a couple days ago. Whereas you have to wait for Sol to get back up that 280 point for you to be break even. So I'm a huge, now again, the mental side of that is the one that's the most difficult to deal with, because you don't want to say goodbye to your. I don't think people have um, a hard time saying goodbye to an asset. They have a hard time realizing the loss, right? So once you are able to deal with that and say, like, it's okay, I can make that money back chasing other coins that look bullish than holding a dead coin, that's going to elevate your game by a lot and change your mindset in just the littlest of ways. Um, all right, let me me see. A couple more questions, and we'll go ahead and live trade. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm not looking at levels to sell my Bitcoin long term. It's just whenever I'm happy with profits. I've discussed Sherlock earlier in the stream. This video is recorded. You can watch it back. Respect for the guy as a trader. I don't respect him. Or sorry, as a teacher who does know his shit, but I don't respect him as a trader because he only shills shitcoins. Which traders do you trust in the space now that you're retiring, looking for some people to trust? My brother Neil, he has his own server. He teaches his own class. He was one of my first students. He's in a lot of other discords that I was in. He's in Unity. For those that are in Unity, I think that he does an exceptional job at explaining markets, trading. He's been in the space a long time too. So I see, the frustrations from other traders in the space that they are dealing with the chop market, right? But he's always one to own up. Um, and from other people that are in Unity, right? Like that I follow, and actually I respect traders that own up their losses and say when they are wrong. And Soul, I don't talk to this guy as much, but I do respect him as a trader because, for the amount of trades that this guy gives, he gives like 100 in a month. Takes losses, but he always ends up positive on the month in terms of risk to reward, and he always owns up his losses, and that's what I respect. If you can't as a trader live trade, set up your thoughts on a video, and own up losses, I don't respect you no matter how good you are, because if you can't tell me how you get something or show me on a chart or circumvent if I give you an answer, if you can't do that, I don't respect you. Um, I am not deleting anything from my YouTube channel, no. Do you see Bitcoin going to 74 or 108K? I those are two different things. You have to take it level by level, and we'll chart Bitcoin. But I don't like speaking price targets. It's a matter of if this level is flipped or if this level is lost, then we go to this level and this level. All right, so I'll discuss that, but I don't like talking about like Bitcoin's going to 140K or whatever. But I'll go over that. For scalping, what do you think is the lowest time frame that's reliable? For scalping, I don't go anything lower than a 15-minute. Because unless you have time to sit on charts and watch, I don't recommend going anything lower than a 15-minute. 5-minute, it's great if you have time to see. If you are a 1-minute charter, I'm calling you a retard. But 5-minute, 10-minute, or sorry, 5-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute, great for scalping. Thoughts on harmonics? Not my thing. I know how to use them. I used to be able to use them as influence, but not my thing. If it works for people, but yeah, not my thing. What do you think about Bad Company? Oh man. The guy doesn't know anything about anything. This guy's a clown. Grifter. Doesn't even trade. Probably steals his calls from people. Nothing boils my blood more than grifters and scammers. All right. Does your brother Neil have a YouTube? Yes, he does. Um, yes, he does. He goes by Nurse. Ah, fuck, I can't. I'm on OBS reading the chat. Let me open up. He goes by on Twitter or Nurse Neil on. Well, Nurse Neil is his username, but if you look up that or Trader Neil on YouTube. Neil and Magoo are low-key one of the only ones to take accountability for their losses. Yes, I do agree. What's up, Iron? Sherlock bought Ski back at 9 cents but never gave an update. Well, his first mistake was buying Ski. What do you think of my DCA plan? I have 25 daily on those. Do I add or remove or stop loss? I'm not going to do personal things, but Bitcoin and ETH are great. How can I get paid to be an analyst in servers? Put in work. Trial. Is he like your actual bro? No, he's not. But he's one of the people I've known longest in this space. How do you decide that a level is flipped? All right, I'll go over that. All right. I think I've answered enough questions. Let's get into charting. So let's start with Bitcoin first. Okay, so if you guys watched my video, we talked about a few levels. Okay, I pointed out this level, and this level. These wicks here are known as liquidity wicks, and price usually reacts at those levels. So what you want to do when you see wicks like this, and we have wicks up here as well. Let me go to a different chart. All right. So let's just draw these out. So when people yell manipulation here, big accounts or small accounts, I just mute them on Twitter because this isn't manipulation. It's literally how price reacts at levels. Okay. So let's start with the most recent one. Okay. There was, and you can, again, higher time frames, much more reliable. This was the lowest wick on this, impulse up, and you can see, like, you can call it a higher low here. You can call it on a lower time frame, a loss of structure once that last lower or higher low was broken. But in the end, that was a wick. And what price did is not only did it sweep it, right, but as we closed back above it, we took out all of the stop losses that were here. So what happens, and if we do a replay, I'm hoping this works, I cancel my trading view subscription. All right. So what happens is people try to possibly long these levels. So let's say, they missed the move. They're trying to set limits for this area and place, that's a short, and place their stop loss right below wicks. Okay, that is a liquidity level. And what happens is usually there's a whole bunch of stop losses, price goes back down, stops everyone out, and then reverses because it's grabbed all that liquidity and then heads higher. That's exactly what happened here. It's exactly what happened up here. Okay. And if we were to fast forward this, right, price goes up, yes, it came back down, and notice how it came back down to the level that I set, because that was a previous SR point on a lower time frame. That was resistance. We broke out above, came back and flipped that to support. Now, to answer the question of what is a flip, using this example, notice how this is resistance, right? Price is rejecting from this level. There's the breakout candle. Okay, closed above, therefore reclaiming this resistance. There is the retest. Price comes back down, touches that level, that red candle, closes above. Now that resistance has been flipped to support. We retested it and closed above, and there we go again, right? So that flip happened once we closed above and this candle started, and it just ran from there. So previous SR point, previous resistance has been flipped to support, and it ran. Now it came back down, and since we flipped the support, we bounced that support. We're holding it, and then it ran up, right? The longer a support is touched, the weaker it's going to be. So back on the 4 hour, we went up, and there's liquidity here. There's liquidity. These are internal wicks. Okay, so this is an internal high. This is your swing high currently. It's the highest wick. Okay, which took out the previous highest wick. You have an internal high here, internal high here, internal high, internal high, and now this is your next internal high. These are within the swing high and the swing low level. So if you're taking a look at this, this is now your swing low based on this chart, and this was your swing high. These are internal lows. And we took out one of the internal highs, price reacted, we rejected perfectly from there. And where is the next liquidity level? Well, here, right? We had that marked down here, and we have it there. So once we take out liquidity, price comes back, takes this one, stops everyone that decided to long at that previous support again, right? Even if you longed here and placed your stop losses super tight, you were stopped out. Once all the stops are taken out, price decides or climbs again. Yes, you can yell manipulation or whatever, but that's just the liquidity grab, and that's how you play a swing failure pattern, which it was exactly that on the daily. We took out the lows, we closed above the swing or one of the internal lows with a swing low of this level, closed above, creating a swing failure pattern. And there's a video on that on my channel if you guys want to watch that in the education section. Once you take out the lows and close above the previous swing low, you long on the next candle when it's opened, stop loss below the wick, and you play it until the next resistance or whatever. The same exact thing happened here. Right? We can go to a 4 hour. You have your highs here, and you have internal, here's an internal low at that point, right? Whoa. Okay. Price took out the highs and rejected. Again, simple liquidity raid. All the people that were shorting, let's say here, had their stops above, stopped everyone out, and then price reversed. Right? Again, SFP, once we take out the highs, okay, once we take out the highs, That would have been your trigger play with an SFP, all the way down to liquidity levels. Take profit once you're shorting at levels of support. Okay. Look at that. We took out this low here and pumped, right? So these are all liquidity levels that we took out and then pumped. Not saying that every pump is going to give you a 10, 15, 20%. Bitcoin, 2% in a choppy environment is a lot. Okay, but again, price reacted perfectly from the liquidity levels. We took them out and then continued to run higher. Okay. And then the next one, like I said, that one there. So now our liquidity lies within two places. Well, not really two places, but we have now an internal high here, and we have these lows down here. So these are the levels that we're going to be watching out for some type of reversal to happen once the liquidity is swept. Okay. Now, back to Bitcoin. High time, let's just look at this though. I don't want to change that chart. This is just a range. Okay. You have these levels here. These are the levels that you want to watch for. Okay. This is just a simple range. You have resistance, you have your range lows, and Bitcoin needs to hold this level for a move up. I've discussed this in my previous video. 88, well, 88 down to 86K is a level that we must hold. Either this is going to be a slow accumulation just like it was here, maybe one more like move down below 80K, and then it starts the next wave up. But I don't think that we make new all-time highs. I think that the macro top was already put in. But again, we look at previous liquidity pockets or points. We swept them and then went higher. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get one more move down to the 80K. And who knows, maybe we have a daily wick and people start panicking, something like that, and we take out 74K and then run back up. So I don't know who asked me if we're going to 74K or 108K. It's not a simple answer. The question is, or the answer that I would give you is, if this 88 to 86K level fails to hold, you will most likely see a move down to sub 80K, down to 74K. Grab all of this liquidity before starting the next leg up. Okay. Otherwise, vice versa, if we start to pump here, you might see previously support. We have never, it became an SR once we lost it. You might see a move into maybe first this liquidity area, right? Maybe we get a dump just like we did back here. I am struggling with this mouse. My hand is so fucking cold. Or we get a move into this supply zone around 100 to 106K, and we reject from there and then come back down. Okay, 100K to this supply zone is a very important level. If we are able to flip this on the weekly level, meaning close above on the weekly, okay, see how we previously resistance, we closed above on the weekly, flipped it to support, and continued to run higher. You want that same thing to happen here. Close above 100K on the weekly and flip it to support. You probably get that next leg up. But this is going to be a very important level, and I expect immediate rejection from this on the first or second touch. It's not going to be an easy flip. It's not going to be an easy level to burst through on the first go around. And then same thing here, liquidity there. So mark these levels on your charts and see how price reacts from those levels. And then based on those, you know when to take, shorts or longs, and just play it level by level. Right? There's nothing else to say on Bitcoin right now. Like, we're just waiting for levels. Like, if you're talking about this being the range, then here is your mid-range, right? Range highs, here's your internal lows. If this is your range right now, we're at resistance. So you have to wait until this blue line is flipped on the daily to long and target the next high. But for now, it's the holidays. We have Christmas next week, New Year's the week after. Um, Volume is extremely low. It is the weekend too. So I don't expect any big moves in the market. And if we do, it's because there's a lack of volume and liquidity that is setting up for these big spikes in either direction. So one big move to the or one big market buy or one big market sell can cause wicks like this to happen, to raid those liquidity levels or this one, and that's what you want to wait for. A lot of people are getting chopped up, trying to trade this when we really haven't moved in a few days. I mean, for the last week, we've been in this range of like 3%, 4%. There are coins that are doing, 20 to 30% in a single hour. The only shitty thing about those coins are they're low market caps and being heavily um, pumped and dumped, i.e., manipulated by Binance, and those are the cartel coins that only a few holders. If you take a look at the wallet addresses, only a few handful of people are holding like a majority of those, and that is what you call manipulation, not price action when shit like this happens, right? Manipulation is when people are advertently playing with an asset. Binance is a huge um, scam exchange that does this. I hate Binance. What they do is they accumulate a whole bunch of coins via top 3, 4 wallets, and then they pump the price up. Um, you will see coins that have high negative funding, and then in a few days, possibly weeks, the coin is completely like dumped and it's worthless, right? Like the most recent, and again, I don't trade shit coins like this, but the most recent one that comes to mind is like Jelly Jelly, right? Um, they pump it and then it dumps. So I stay away from coins like that. I don't like to trade when there's a lack of volume and liquidity and it's super volatile. If something is literally pumping 20% in a single 15-minute candle, I don't see that as something that I want to trade. I'd rather trade high cap coins given the reliable data. If I want to trade low cap coins, I probably pay for a membership to join Foxy and get wrecked by Sherlock. Told you guys I was going to talk shit. All right. Um, what are your thoughts on Monday range trading? I think it's a very good tool to have. For those that don't know what that means, is you wait for Monday's open. So right now, for those that don't know, or here, some TA or some trading view basics. If you don't know when the daily close happens, right click on the price here, okay? And where the fuck is it? This timer should show up somewhere. It's been a while. I've had this ever since, but every single time frame, you'll know when the 4 hour closes, the daily closes. So like if I switch to the 12-hour time frame, the 12-hour closes in 6 hours, right? The 6 hour closes in 2 minutes, so on and so forth. Right? So the daily closes in 6 hours and then the Monday candle starts, right? You want to see where the Monday high and the Monday low is, and you can trade it that way, right? Um, I'll let you guys deal with it somewhere there. So if we take an example, like take a look at Sol, for example, and you go to, let's take a look at Monday of last week. So this is Sunday, here's Monday. Here is Monday's high, here is Monday's low, and you go to a lower time frame. Okay, there's the high, there's the low. Notice how we took out the Monday low and pumped a little bit, right? Then we turned into resistance, and then we reclaimed it. We haven't had a Monday since. Mondays come, for those that aren't aware, once in a week. And we flipped previous Monday low into support and bouncing from it. Right? Thank you guys for the simple TA teaching this old boomer how to get the time on the thing. For those that don't know, just reach out. All right. So that was Bitcoin. Let's take a look at ETH. And I'll talk about long-term ETH because I've made a video going over my Bitcoin analysis for the long term, but I never did one for ETH, and I'm not going to go into like a 2-hour video on ETH explaining it, but ETH, I think, you know, this is the demand zone that I think people should be scaling into. So buying in this green zone has been beneficial, right? This was I've talked about this zone before. You know, when we were at 4,200, 3,800, 3,500, I was yelling for, 2,800, 2,900, and that level comes from this demand zone here, right? Every time we touched it, like 12% move, 25% move, this is where you want to start scaling in and buying all the way down to, macro levels of support, okay? Now, if it goes below 1,000, then it's ultra fucked, but these are the levels that you want to buy. Okay, and these aren't just random levels, they're support. So scaling in this green box and DCing, buying there, and for some reason, if price goes to 1,000, that's where you want to buy. And you sell when you're happy, okay? So don't set price targets in your mind like I'm going to sell at $5,000, okay? What if price doesn't get there? Are you going to round trip your bag all the way down to your average? Start taking profits at when you think you've made enough money. And if you haven't, at least take out your initial capital. If you're up 20, 30% on ETH, take out your initial capital. And then at least, you're risk free and you can ride the rest, right? You should be in profit even if you take out your initial capital. And if it continues to go higher, then great. But you want to take profit at levels of resistance. So in the event that price, let's say for shits and giggles, we go down to 1,000, you start buying here, you buy here, here, here. Your average is somewhere around 1,700, right? Price comes and let's say it goes back up. Now you're sitting at 3,300. You're up 2x, okay? I'd call you a moron if you didn't take any profits on a 2x, but you're going to take levels or profits at levels of resistance. So there's going to be more data if we do go back down there, right? Let's say This is what we're working with. Okay, well, there's resistance. There's resistance. Right? There's resistance. You're going to take profit levels of resistance. Or you can't read charts, which totally fine. Learn how to, right? But if you can't, do basic math. You're up 2x on an asset. You put in $10,000 after everything, right? You're up $20,000. Is that $20,000 life-changing to you? Can you use it for other things? The answer should be yes. If it's something that you don't want or you don't need in the short term, then you can keep it as a long-term investment, but you should still set some sell levels for yourself to DCA out. In the long run, things don't always go up, right? Um, no matter what asset it is, it's not always going to go up. People are going to take profit, and you should too, all right? But long term, this is what I'd be doing. Personally, like I told you guys from the beginning of the stream, I am buying $100. Okay, well, you don't have to say a certain trading group. You can literally just say Kaizen because Kaizen's a piece of shit. Um, but let's say that, you know, or hold on, let me backtrack. At the beginning of this video, I said, I'm buying $100 worth of ETH every single day. I'm only allocating a certain amount of capital into Bitcoin and ETH buys, and once I hit, personally for me, $100,000 on both, I'm going to be turning off my recurring buys. I think that's fine, a good amount. But if you are wanting to buy at levels like this green area is where you want to DCA in and set lower limits, right? Um, you may not get these lower limits, but even right now, from the highs, this is down like 40%. So buying here, even at this price, and slowly DCAing down is not a bad idea. But the problem with DCAing is not many do it correctly. They go in, let's say you want to allocate 10% of your portfolio to ETH, they're buying like 3% now, and then 1%, and then 1%, and then 1%, or whatever. They're going in heavy at first, without thinking that price can drop down. And if you go in heavy at first and your DCAs fill, you're going to have a top heavy average. So you want to go in light and DCA heavy. So you can do, if you want, either the same amount, like 2%, 2%, 2%, or you go in 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3 up until you get to 10 or whatever, right? That's how you should DCA. Because if you do, 3%, then 1%, then your average is going to be much higher than someone doing it the other way around. So DCAing, there is a correct way of DCAing, in my opinion. And if you don't get those lower bids, let's say that you buy in this area, you got all these DCAs filled, but not these. Well, now, you have resistance later on forming. You buy on the way up once a resistance has been flipped. So you buy here, you buy here, and that is the remainder of your capital. Yes, your average increases, but you're buying on the way up with the correct DCA method. So that's my long-term ETH plan. Again, you guys can watch this stream. I'm using OBS for the first time in doing live. I usually use it to record my videos, and I press the record button, so hopefully it just saves on YouTube. But we can watch this level, or you can do live charting with me, pull out your charts and note these levels, but it's not going to change. But let's take a look at ETH, and let's talk about where I think price is going to go. So this is the last video, right? So I used the 5-day chart when I made this trend line, and the trend line is still holding, okay? The more touches of the trend line, the weaker it's going to be, but it's still holding. And yes, we had a bearish engulfing candle in the last 5 day, and the 5 day candle is going to close in 5 hours. But the level that we need to get above is this black level here, the 3056. Once we flip that back to support, I think we can, obviously Bitcoin has to cooperate, but I think that we can go and take out these highs, which is, again, here is your um, internal high. There's liquidity there, right? I'm just going to do this. Okay. This is also a supply zone, so it's going to be a pretty hard level to get above on the first go around. You could see some rejection. Okay, but again, you do have liquidity here and here. And unlike, I think this took out the liquidity, similar like Bitcoin, right? We took out the liquidity and then ran. And then now we're just consolidating here. So I think, and you have to go to a lower time frame to get more data here, but I think if we can get a test back into this level, here's an order block. It's the last red candle before a directional change. I think buys in this area for a trade back to this level is viable. Or here is an internal high. Again, every time frame has its own levels, right? You want to see how price reacts at these levels. If we go up and take it just like we did here, then it's a short, right? We have to take it and close back below, similar to that. And then if we continue to close above, then you're waiting for this flip to happen, and then you're waiting for the next level. Okay, so play liquidity level by level, or you set levels of supply and demand zones, or OBs, and you play that. Okay, there's no reason to try to trade this right now. You can wait for the Monday range strategy to form. Like weekend trading, I've always said this, there's no point in weekend trading, especially during holidays. Wait for Monday to open, which is going to be in 5 hours, almost 6 hours, and you're going to wait till Monday to close and play the range. Okay, so in my opinion, Saturday, Sunday, and Mondays, if you're trading Mondays, it's fine, but I just wait for the Monday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and sometimes Fridays are the best time to trade, in my opinion, because every single movement that we get over the weekend is usually scammed because of low liquidity and volume. Okay, so these are your levels that you want to watch out for right now. I think bids in that area and playing it back there. Otherwise, you have these liquidity pockets to be taken. Okay. Winter, you're weird, man. Thoughts on accumulating Soul in a bear? I'm not a fan of Soul. Soul, I shit on a lot of coins and communities. The one that I shit on the most is Soul. Um, and that's because it's diluted. So many coins are built on that just takes liquidity from the market. We had Melania, we had fucking Trump, right? Though that coin topped the altcoin market. And I will always hate Sol. To be honest, like if Gary Gensler was still here, we wouldn't. I think we'd be in a better spot. A lot of people don't like him. I don't like him, but he was a positive for the space because all these shit coins that came out of nowhere, you wouldn't have that right now, right? Yes, you guys might have made money on these coins, but Gary Gensler was a positive for the space in terms of the amount of coins are in this and going after the fraudsters. Now we have a shit administration um, who gives absolutely zero fucks. They're just banking off their own creation and they don't care. And it all starts with Sol. So yes, if Sol goes to 50, 40, 70, 80, whatever, yes, it could offer some nice return. But I'm not a fan of the coin or the community. I think they're a bunch of orgy organizers, and they all smell like shit. And I don't respect the community. I can say that about other communities as well, but Sol is my top contender for a community that I hate. Um, but again, do I think it's going to die? No, I don't. Sol is never going to overtake Ethereum. But I'd rather be invested in ETH. It's more expensive, sure, but I don't know. That's just me. Okay, so I'm gonna open up the floor to, I'm here till for another hour. Um, we'll go ahead and do some live charting. I'll take some recommendations from you guys. Not all the coins are going to make it. I will skip over some names. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. I don't have the time to go over a million coins. Um, so I'm just gonna take some charts and go from there. What's up, Esbrion? All right, so drop your guys' coins, and I'll take a look. I think there's a lag between the live and the chats, so let's do hype. Okay, so this is the chart that I posted for hype um, on my Twitter, and I think I discussed it in a few videos. So we have liquidity here, and we're almost there. I'm gonna go to the perp chart. Okay. So I think a move into previously resistance, right? We lost it. Now it's an SR point. I think a move into that $26.40 region is a good shorting opportunity. Preferably, I would love to short this supply zone. And again, these are trade ideas. Things could change as we get more data, right? We could easily like do this, right? And then this trade becomes invalid. I'm not going to be updating those. These are at this current time this current time, what I see on the charts. I would personally love if we can get a move into 27.20 to 27.50, stop loss above the highs here for another higher low. Sorry, lower high. But in terms of longs, I would wait until this level is swept. Okay. Support, support. We broke back above, flipped it there. So 21 down to 20 is a level that I'd be watching. This is possible. Okay, it won't be anytime soon unless we have another 10-10 crash. But this is a no trade zone for me. I wait until one of these levels have been tapped. But going to it on lower time frame, okay, we have an order block down here. So we could easily see here is liquidity. So a move into the order block, if we were to draw fibs from the lows to the highs, we have enough confluence for that being a bounce point. Or we wait until the highs are taken, see the reaction, SFP, you can look for shorts, stop loss will be above the highs that will be created, and you just play the range until such. Okay, scalp, swing trade, swing trade. One, two, three, four, five. This is getting weaker. We might have a breakout. So I'm not a breakout trader. I think breakout traders have to be extremely diligent and be on charts at all times. So this could break out, take out these highs here, and then dump back into this area, or we get a breakdown here, right, long, back up into there. I don't see anything else for hype. So higher time frame again, like I said, wait for those lows at the $21 to $20 or the 1950 region. Swing short up here, or you're gonna wait for the lower time frames over here. All right, Zcash. Okay, so what is a bullish Quasimoto and what is a bearish Quasimoto? Okay, so a bullish Quasimoto is you have my hands are freezing, so I apologize, but let me get another chart out. All right. I am on vacation. I am not at my computer setup, so this fucking cabin is cold. All right, so a bullish Quasimoto is a downtrend. Okay, so you have a downtrend, and then you have lower lows with lower highs, right? And then you have a break of structure where you have a higher high made. We break above previous lower high, make a higher low, right? So you have a break of structure, and this is a bullish Quasimoto, right? So lower high, lower low, higher low, sorry, higher high, higher low, and then change of structure. So similar to this. Okay. Simple downtrend. Lower high, lower low, higher, higher low, and it's a reversal pattern. Okay. Someone asked me what my favorite moves are. This. Okay. Again, market structure change. There you go. Higher high, higher low, higher high, and then once we closed below that, now you have a lower low, you have a market structure change, and you're going to short the neckline. You can say here, sure, or here. And this is a bearish Quasimoto. So opposite of this. Higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low, and now you have a lower high. So it's literally this backwards, right? So that was a good short to take, but again, you don't want to go just based off patterns. There's a whole lot of confluence there to take the trade as well, right? You had order block, resistance, whatever. There's an extra confluence. So right now, theoretically, Zcash should go lower, right? And the area that I'm looking for, and usually when you have a bearish Quasimoto or bullish Quasimoto, if this was the rejection, it should make a new lower low, right? This was just first lower high, it should make a lower low. But there's going to be bounces along the way. So if we take a look at 417 down to 414, this was previously resistance. So we could get a bounce here, but I like this order block. And most likely, this is going to be some type of confluence of a golden pocket touch. So if we get a move down to this $400 region, I'd play it with my stop loss below. It's a very wide stop loss, so that means you have to lower your risk. And you take profit at levels of resistance, and we go back into the supply zone or the order block, right? You can add your confluence. Okay, this could be a bear flag as well, or a diagonal head and shoulders. But either you short it up here, or you wait for the trend line to be broken, retested, flip to resistance, then you have a diagonal head and shoulders, and the target for that is going to be wherever the retest is, around 308ish or $300, whatever, right? So you have to wait until triggers are met before shorting. That one was a perfect one. Bearish Quasimoto, order block, and then you have a possible long attempt at this order block. Agreed to play level. However, would you be seeing ahead of the scenario 74K first, followed by a pump, and then a proper bear? We are in a bear market. Market structure is to the downside. We've been in a bear market since probably end of September, beginning of October. If people are telling you that we're not in a bear market, like, unfollow them. Like, market structure wise, this is a bear market. Now, it doesn't mean a bear market has to last a year or 2 years. It could be 6 months. This is a bear market. I'm not charting silver or gold. I'm not charting syrup. I'm not charting stocks, guys. This is a crypto stream. Typically I'm picking higher market cap coins, so that's what I trade. So if I see a name that I don't recognize, like syrup, not trading it. All right, let's take a look at Sol. Wasn't that 126 when we started? Yeah. So I thought I had. Did I delete it? Yeah, I did. Fuck. All right. So we've touched this trend line too many times. I think, retesting it on the breakout is a good long to take, but we're on support right now. And again, this has been touched way too many times. Sol is a weak coin. I do think that it goes eventually down to sub 100, but it's in a range. Okay, here's your range. I think it's going to break down, but if we close below this 120, 5 down to 120 region, I think that this is a short opportunity. High time frame short. Again, you got to wait for that flip to happen. All the way down. With stop loss probably above like 130. Now, this is going to be a very risky trade because, we're at a very crucial bounce point for Bitcoin. Although Bitcoin is holding relatively well, Sol is down, right? So taking a look at the Sol BTC chart really quickly. You could say you have a div, right? Price making lower lows while RSI making higher lows. Can I say the same about, you don't really have a div here. I don't think this is a very strong divergence. I think it's going to give out. But you need this to happen for Sol to run. And right now, Sol isn't outperforming Bitcoin. But I think, any pump that we get on Sol is for shorting for sure. And if we were to take fibs from the swing high down to the swing low, yeah, I mean, we have an order block there. So in the event that we get a pump, and this could be that Bitcoin pump to 94K, I think shorting, and this is clear resistance into an order block, something like that, is a pretty good move there. Not really interested in this low time frame. There's no reason to trade this, but you have your triggers, and that is a move into that golden pocket for shorts and only shorts. I'm not looking to long this, or breakdown of this high time frame support. Flip it to resistance. See how we closed below, but we didn't flip it to resistance there? You want the close below, flip to resistance, and then you look for shorts. This is a coin where only your red button should be on. There's no point in longing it. Sui. All right, let's start on a higher time frame and trickle down. So we have that 10-10 wick to keep in the back of our minds. Do we think it's going to go there? Not sure. Quickly taking a look at this, I see a bear flag. Okay. Technical targets of this bear flag is around 80 cents. And, on a lower time frame, you can possibly, or on the daily, possible head and shoulders forming. Okay. Don't go and short this. We haven't had it form yet. You need to break the neckline, retest it, and then dump. And if that happens, then you have the short opportunity with stops there down to the 80 cent mark. You have your downtrend resistance. I don't see anything on the 4 hour, so let's keep going to a lower time frame. Like, this price action is very hard to trade. Probably if we get a move down to this area here, it's a good scalp opportunity to the next trend line, wherever that is, and stops below. See, because you have liquidity here, that's what makes it tricky. You have this low that wasn't touched. So either we have a very tight stop loss below this, or you wait for that liquidity grab, similar to what I showed you guys on Bitcoin and ETH with the SFP, and then you long that to the next trend line test. Now on a higher time frame, the daily, if that support is lost, this one here, then you have the high time frame short lower. But you could say that this is a possible, on a 2 hour, a possible bullish Quasimoto, right? Here is your last lower high into a lower low. So, coming back down here is great. It'll make a higher low, but this could easily pump from here as well. And maybe this is your higher low. But if you're longing, I'd wait until this trend line resistance is flipped, and then you'd long that. And stops are a little bit tricky here because we don't have the data, but usually it's going to be somewhere below the support. So let's just say it's, here in the event that we go there, and you're targeting, resistance and there. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of options. I'd like to get that higher low into that order block. You have a high time frame swing once that level is lost on a higher time frame, or you're waiting for that flip to happen to long on confirmation. Ondo or Link? I like Link better, so let's do Link. Man, all these charts look the fucking same right now. This looks exactly similar to Sui, right? Same possible bear flag as well. This is more of an expanding flat. So price should pump from here. Granted, Bitcoin doesn't go down. An expanding flat, 2, 3. No, if we were to pump, this is the area to pump from if we were to. And the target would be the top of trend line. But this would be it. About a 1R, about a 2.5R, or 2R, and then almost 3R trade there. But I don't know. Again, looks exactly like Sui, right? You have the bear flag possibly. You have left, head, possible right forming. So same exact plays that I gave with Sui apply to this as well. Now, lower time frame, there's no bullish Quasimoto on here. lower, lower high, lower low. We haven't flipped this yet, so this is actually, I can see this possibly going back down to, let's use that order block. Lines up with the 786 fib, stops. Yeah, this one's risky. And play that. Or you wait until these high, I mean, this is resistance, right? So you can wait until this internal high is taken out and look for shorts. But I like a move into there to build a possible higher low. But macro-wise, it has to pump here. Otherwise, the next level doesn't come until I'm gonna exclude this wick, but the next level doesn't come until I don't even like that. Like $11. This looks very similar to this. Diagonal, head and shoulders. This one didn't get the retest. The 10-10 wick just destroyed everyone. But it's starting to look very similar to this. Or even to this. Not a great looking chart. There's levels to overcome, but it has to pump from here. I don't know who Bill Noble is. Aster. This coin's ass. It looked nice, but you know, again, you have CZ and his fucking scammy ass back in this coin. I mean, what even the fuck is this? What is the oldest chart? All right. I mean, price is going to lower low levels. I don't see this. I don't see this making a recovery. It definitely won't go back up to that. You know, there's a lot of fucking dexes coming out. You know, you have lighter, you have hype, hyperliquid, all these other ones coming out, trying to be the next, you know, hyperliquid. And I'll tell you this, like, I'm not a fan of. I think the coin hype is the next Luna. I like what hype has done in the space. I'm just, you know, like once everyone is trying to do the same thing and build more dexes, right, for airdrops, it's going to dilute, and it's gonna happen the same thing that happened with all the other soul shit coins, right? Like they're not going to do well. Space is diluted, so I mean, Astra looks disgusting, and for whatever reason, if we get a pump to the SR support here, that's where you're looking to sell. I can't really do TA and tell you guys how low we're gonna go because there's not enough information. This is a brand new coin, but I can tell you that this chart doesn't look great, and this is probably cooked. I honestly can't do TA on this. I mean, other than maybe this goes down and pumps from this level here, 60. Let's just draw the levels. 66 down to 60. I mean, it already bounced from there. See, order blocks. If you had those levels in, you have had it. Think like a nice, like, 20%. But that is the area where you're looking to bid if you're wanting to buy this. Other than that, simple downtrend, higher highs, lower lows, lower highs, possible bear flag, right? You'd make more investing and going to a brothel than buying this coin. At least, your mental will be in a better place. You'd have fun and you wouldn't be stressed out. This coin's cooked. And to be honest, it's not bullish until it reclaims 90 cents. If it does, then this is just a giant deviation, right? And then it goes higher. So down here, if you're looking to buy 66 down to 60, otherwise, don't even look at it. Okay, it's like the fourth time I've gotten arrow. Not a fan of that coin. I think I charted somewhere once. Gotta keep. Alright, so discounting the 10-10 wick. It's on a crucial level to hold here. Doesn't look great. This probably goes down, honestly, to possibly even recover this wick. One sec. Usually, KuCoin has stuff listed early. No. It needs to bounce here. Very crucial level. Needs to bounce. Yeah, here's the order block. It needs to bounce here, possibly putting in a low time frame Quasimoto, right? So it needs to bounce here. That is your trigger. Too long, and possibly targets. This isn't going to be a big mover. The breaker block. It probably. It has to bounce from here, but again, even lower time frame, like while everything can look bullish or bearish on lower time frames, there's always going to be a scenario for both, right? Like this looks like a bear flag too. So this could easily, bounce from here, reject up there, or if this loses the trend line, looking to short with stops somewhere above there. I can't tell you where because not enough data has formed yet, but in terms of longs, it honestly, this is the place for it to bounce, and it has to here. Otherwise, this probably goes for the lows. It's a slow mover, not something that I would possibly look to trade. Keep it tight. Stop on this. About a 2R trade. Like this, I mean, it already touched the order block, so it got the bounce, but continuing its move from here, it probably goes to like 51 and then back up into the highs. Now you have a supply zone here. So again, it's going to reject most likely from there. I see more low time frame bullish signals on this one than bearish, because this could look like a possible cup and handle too. So it has to pump from here. What name brand coins do you see for the long term? Bitcoin and ETH, nothing else. I mean, every cycle has its own shiny coins, right? Like we had Sui this cycle, did well. We had Hype, which is the newer coin for this cycle. I can't say what the next coin is going to be, but there has to be some type of reduction in dilution um, of coins. Like we just can't keep making new coins, and we have to find some type of project that's different from the rest. And then everyone else will try to copy that project, but whatever project that comes out and is completely different and offers, some type of real world product is going to do well, right? So I don't know what that's going to be, but whatever it is, that's the narrative that you want to jump on when it comes out. People were saying base narrative and stuff like that. Base is complete and utter garbage. Okay, Jesse is a fucking lunatic. Base is not going to do well, in my opinion. It never will. It's not going to succeed. Um, just stick with the basics. What has worked and done well, and that's the ETH ecosystem. Um, and just trade the higher cap coins. To be honest, trade everything and anything in the top 50. Don't worry about anything below that. Everyone was doing this DEX narrative, and look, all the DEX coins are down. Um, oh, do not see the next bull run. I do not see about like 80% of these coins next run. I think all the memes are going to die off. Maybe you have new memes coming around, but I don't see like Fartcoin or like, I mean, like Doge is completely gone, right? It's in the top fucking 15, 20 in market cap, but nothing to show for it. It's just a meme. Fartcoin, Dog with a Hat, all these different coins like Shib, like they're not gonna be here. No one's gonna trade them. Everyone's looking for that new shiny project or coin to trade. But then you have coins, like XRP and Litecoin and these Dino coins that came out of nowhere for a small resurgence. So you might have in the next cycle these Dino meme coins that at that point that do a small move up and then retrace everything. So my advice is if you miss a move early, so like for example, Dog with a Hat, right? You had months. Let's go to it. Yes, it was on somewhere else that you could have easily taken a look. Right, but this fucking came out much earlier, and I remember being told to buy this at 10 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents right before it got listed. Why am I on this? Okay, right? But if you miss this, right, and you were gone for a week or whatever, all of a sudden you wake up and you're at $2.30, right? Can it go up? I mean, it did, right? But is it worth getting into after it's done 20, 30, 40x? I don't think so. This is one of the coins where if you're late to a narrative, it's done. Like you're done. All right. You have to see that as a missed opportunity and move on and not chase something. But understanding market structure would have helped as well. So I know a lot of people that aped into this in April of last year. People in my server, people in the servers that I was calling for, and every single live stream that I was doing in the Discords, they were asking an update on this coin. All right, but this is why I say understanding market structure is going to help you to know when to cut, long, short, whatever. And this is a perfect example of a coin putting in higher highs and higher lows, made a lower low, closed below, and then at that point, yes, it had some moves up, but it never went back to the highs, and it was just slowly grinding down until then. Okay, um, and then died. Right. So if this has a move, let's say like tomorrow, and this does 150 200% in a single day or 2 days or 3 days, and you're taking a hiatus, you come back and you see this pump, don't chase it, just let it go. You missed the opportunity. Don't put capital at risk. Look for something else completely, or you look for shorts. I'm not talking about missing out completely on shorting it, but don't look to buy this coin once it's done 200 300% in a single week or whatever. Right? A lot of people lose money because they see something is pumping and then they try to chase it. And if you do that, you have to have some type of invalidation. So, for example, let's see. I'm. This is the only coin that I'm still in, and I should have cut. But this is the only coin that I'm carrying into next year, and it's Pengu. All right. So let's say you were hype. This was running, right? And you missed this move up. You missed this move up, and let's say for some reason you bought here. It continued to run up and you made money, but for some reason, you are allergic and don't like to book profits after a 50% move. When are you going to cut this? I know a lot of people that are still in from a 3 cent average and still holding it to this day and down, about 70% on their investment. Well, if you bought here and you held, so here's your support. Okay. Once you have a daily closure below, right, even here, a cut there would have been, even if it went back to break even, a cut there would have saved you. You lost 13% on your holdings versus 72. So if that cut would have saved you, a 70% drawdown further. Okay? And this is what I mean by you have to be okay with taking losses. So if you entered in somewhere, you have to see where a high time frame invalidation is. So you missed that. You didn't take profit on this move up. It came back down to your support level. It pumped again and for some reason didn't. Closed on support. Again, you missed it. And then you have the closure below. So now you see that it's getting weak. And you should have seen it's getting weak after it was putting in lower lows and lower highs. right? You have to be able to go in with a plan. You can't just buy something, and this goes back to Discords being, unreliable, and learning how to trade for yourself is because you're influenced by what people are saying because you paid for a service, you paid for a product or whatever. Discords should only be used as a means of communication with other like-minded individuals, right? People were probably telling you this is going to a dollar or this is going to $1.20, and you're believing that without any factual data behind it. They're just making random shit up. All right, so learn how to trade, set an validation level for yourself before entering any trade, and be okay cutting a position. If you had cut for 13 percent loss on your holdings, you could have made that back easily in something else than holding it down to a 72% drawdown, right? So just keep that in mind, and like I said, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be um you know rainbows and strawberry shortcake cookies or whatever, with saying goodbyes to your bags that you've been holding for a while. It's how you respond by taking that loss and learning from your mistakes, that's going to differentiate you from the person you're talking to, right? If you're in a community because of X and X coin, right, you have to be realistic. Those people are bag holding um, their, their coins down to zero and continuously buying, which is the other biggest mistake. You can't keep buying a coin that's in a downtrend. Like, it's just not beneficial. So say goodbye to your coins, and if it pumps, it pumps. Don't be dramatic. Don't be emotional. Be happy. Move on. Remove that coin from your watch list and go to something else. All right, I'll do XRP and I'll do fart coin and that's it. But let me answer some questions. Oh, what's up, Proto? Um, fart coin was great these past 2 months. Yeah, for shorts. And this isn't a way of me bragging or whatever, but these last few weeks to a month have been easy in trading because you have a clear trend, right? Just the last 2 weeks, or maybe sorry, the last week has been choppy, but the last like month or 2 month have been the easiest trading conditions that we've had ever since that we've been going up because you have a clear trend and that trend is down, and people are trying to trade against that trend, which causes them to lose. But literally all you had to do was look for shorts, disable your green button, or if you are going to long because you are counter trend trading, you're going to lower your position size, right? But these few months have been the easiest in terms of trading if you had just, you know, taken shorts and understood market structure, and the market structure is a clear downtrend. People are trying, the people that are trying to sell you narratives of this is just a correction, we're going to go back up to all-time highs, again, they're collecting your money, going on vacation, right? Probably haven't posted in the Discord in about 2 or 3 weeks. And those are the type of, yes, I'm definitely hinting at someone in specific. And you move on to better stuff and avoid those type of people, right? Um, are you gonna? Yeah, this live is going to update. I mean, I hope it's my first time doing it, so I hope it saves to my YouTube. It's if not, I press the record button and I'll upload it. Who in the space outside? Yeah, Proto answered it nicely. Neil, like he's my brother again. Shout out to Neil. Scroll up in the chats, you can see his Twitter and his social medias. Um, Trader Main, great content, but for me, I like anyone and everyone that is able to put themselves out there, share their trades, share their reasoning behind it, and is able to own up to the losses, and even if in a on a bad streak, they're able to come back from the adversity. Um, I don't like people that scream manipulation. I don't like people that go on tangents of as to why something went against their trade. Figure out what went wrong and just fucking deal with it and fix it, knowing that this is a liquidity game and nothing more. Okay, if you scream, if I see someone that says manipulation, it's a straight auto block for me. I don't care how reputable you are. If you scream that Bitcoin is being manipulated or ETH is being manipulated, no. Other coins, like for example Aster that we went over, yes, the Binance coins, Jelly, those are straight up manipulations. But if you're looking at Bitcoin and ETH after a 2%, 3% move and gets retraced like with a 10% dump and you scream manipulation, auto block. Neil does have a Discord. He's also in Unity and other Discords as well. He has his own trading server. He offers educational content and a course. I recommend taking it. Yes, shout out to Ajmal. He is a student of mine. He started off in my server. He put in the work. That dude, he reached out to me, sent me charts. We did a whole bunch of reviews in when he was posting charts and stuff. And that guy, shout out to him. He's under I think he's different in every server, but Scoped, shout out to him. Really good. I appreciate his efforts. I appreciate anyone who wants to learn, and even to, and I've said this in my server, and I'll say it to you guys. I've connected with tens of thousands of people in my 9 years here. I appreciate every single one, even if we don't talk, um, or you're silent in the background trading yourself, and you don't want to talk. Fine. But if you are putting in the work, if you are putting in the efforts of wanting to better yourself trading, or yourself risk management, emotional, whatever you're working on in the background, kudos to you. I 100% continue to support and hope that you guys continue to trade in the long run. Um, just don't be that person. And again, like, I understand people have lives and kids and work and whatever, but don't be that person that makes excuses. I'm at work. I don't have time to trade. Okay, well, you're at work paying X and X amount each month to join a Discord to get calls. So therefore, you are putting in time to take people's calls, right? So there shouldn't be an excuse of you not wanting to work on bettering yourself and being less reliant on calls, and learning why a call was made. Um, people are going to complain about so and so trader being on a losing streak. Um, yeah, but you're the person that's following them, right? You're clicking the buttons. They're not clicking your buttons. So those are the people that I don't respect. And I've always been a straight up person. I'll tell it to your face if I think you're a scammer or a grifter or whatever. But for those people that are actually working on better on bettering themselves, right? Support you. I'm rooting for you. I really hope that you guys make your money. And in this space, you have to lose money to make money. It's all trial and error. All right. All right. A couple more, and then we'll go over XRP. Thanks, John. Margo. All right. I'll go over XRP and Fartcoin, and then I'll do a few more AMAs for until 11:30. Because I know people are joining in late, and then I'll be done. Actually, we'll make it quick. 11:15. But let's go over XRP. Okay. XRP has to be taken a look. Okay, so this is similar to, I think it was Sol, on a major weekly support, right? Um, needs to hold this level. Otherwise, you have to go to a lower time frame to take a look at the next levels. And although that 10-10 wick went through, I'm discounting that. And the next major level of support is going to be this demand zone that I do think is going to hold. Let's turn on RSI really quickly. Now I see no clear divergences here. Honestly, I wouldn't long until we get back above this 1.98. Similar to a deviation that we did here. But we need to reclaim this resistance. And it would be a retest. But on a lower time frame. It's just when volume is dead, it just makes charts a little harder to. December 18th. Yep. 180. Front run that 185, 1845 down to 182. This has lost structure on the 1 hour. Something like that. It's not a pretty look. Like I've said this. I think I don't know if I posted on Twitter, but I said in my server. There is not one good looking chart out there. Not one. Talking about high caps, of course. So I think if we get a move up in there, otherwise you wait for that 197 to be flipped. Okay, and Farcoin. Usually accumulation leads to expansion. I don't know what this is up to, but nothing fun is going to happen until this is above 31 cents. Okay, previously support, rejections, rejections, rejections. Flip it back to support. I think this runs. But until then, you have some liquidity levels. Here is demand. This could be another lower high. And if I were to draw fibs, this probably bounced right from the golden pocket, if I'm not mistaken. Briefly. Yeah. So 786 fib lies perfectly within that demand zone. Swing shorts. This will get running. People will be starting to shill. the shill fart coin again. You have supplies, a low time frame supply zone. Okay, so possible shorts again. It's that 31 cent level, so you could see rejection. I would assume you see a rejection for it on the first touch. I don't know how much of a move we're going to get, but closure below that level, then you have a break of structure, and you're looking for the next lower high to short. You also have an order block here, so I mean, scalping versus swinging trading, right? They're different. So this could be another scalp opportunity. I wouldn't place my stop loss below that wick. It's way too, something like that. And you can draw fibs on this low time frame. Probably the 786 lines up perfectly with it. Yeah. So there's a lot you can get. All right, so that's it on the live trading. I think I went over 10 coins. It's the weekend, so I got things to do. I got a few more questions in me, and then I'm heading out. Let me see. What are the plans after retiring from trading? Focus on family, just being away, stress free. I've been in the Discord game, not necessarily as a actually as a caller since 2019, but you know, it consumes it consumed with a D a large part of my day. Like I would be on it during work. I would do streams during work. I was able to manage it efficiently, so no problems there. But just being away from it, being away from Twitter, and just focusing on family, my life, and the next chapter. I won't really go into all of it because, like I don't want my life out there and stuff. I'm very private. So, but basically just moving on. It's been fun, you know, but I've lost the passion for it. So it's time to do something that I am passionate about and new and look for that new endeavor, which most likely will be going back into stocks, sports memorabilia, sport trading cards, watches, a whole bunch of different things. Crypto is a rough place, yes. Proto, I couldn't agree more. Um, the I think I think it's not that hard to become an analyst, um, because the space is just so. If you take a look at the volume of members in each Discord, right, it has extremely gone down. Many servers most likely are, cutting people, but as newer people come into the space, right, the the quality of traders has gone down. You won't be able to find, a good quality trader anymore. You have, 14, 15, 16-year olds who are, starting to trade. They do well, server notices them, they become analysts or whatever. And I wouldn't say it's hard. I think the crypto markets are hard, but the quality of actual traders has gone down. And this is why, like, being and devoting time into bettering yourself is much more beneficial than joining a Discord. And you can join a Discord, $25, $50, doesn't matter the quality of the Discord, but the conversations that you have with the members and with other people is what's going to help you in your long game. How do we trade in the peak bear market? You just you're just gonna be shorting. So if you're counter trend trading, meaning longing in a downtrend, you're gonna keep your longs, your margin or your allocation much less than you do with shorts because you're in a downtrend and vice versa. So you're looking for the next lower highs. You're looking for supply zones, major level of resistances, and you're going to be shorting them. Until there's a trend change, there's no reason for you to disable the red button. If anything, your green button should be disabled. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm going to be off crypto Twitter or Twitter in general. Not going to be posting. I'm actually going to be signing out of my Arshmeister account. It's going to be there. I'm just not going to be using it. Taking 2 or 3 months to being off socials completely, being off Discord. Um, Reset the mental space and the mental game. All right. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you guys for coming to my final and first live stream. Um, I have this recorded. Hopefully, it auto saves to YouTube because I'm doing it through OBS. And watch it. Watch my other videos. They're not going to go off my page, so you guys will always have that. But come Tuesday, I will not be on social media anymore. So um, the final thing that I do want to say is for those that are supporting me and have supported me by using my Blowfin link, I have one final thing that I've set up with them. If you are using my Blowfin link, you're automatically entered in every single week in that their Rolex campaign. So where you have to usually sign up for people or sign up to register. My link moving forward up until forever, you get 20% rebate, which is the max that I can do on your trades, and you get automatically signed up for the campaign. So whenever you hit a certain threshold, I think it's like the first threshold is like $1 million, you get like $100 bonus or whatever every single week. It resets every single week. That was the final thing that I set up with Blowfin. So support me using it or not. It doesn't really matter for me. Like I've been profitable. I'm not going to be shilling out my links. It's there. You don't have to use it. But that's it for me, guys. I'm signing off for the last time, and I will maybe catch you guys in the future. Thanks, guys.